I'm an advocate for women of color. I'm an advocate for women, period, to make sure that their voices are heard and we're treated equally, not just in the financial side, but in opportunities, making sure we get the correct opportunity.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today for this Find the Balance Friday interview is a very special interview for us, Miss Janet Eaton Smith, who is the Lord University's first full-time athletic director. Let me give you a little bit of information about Miss Eaton Smith. In the summer of 2021, she was promoted to Vice President of Athletics. She is also the school's senior women's leader as identified by the NAIA, and I can't wait to talk about the NAIA. She was named the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference Terry Beauchamp Athletic Director of the Year 2020-2021 after guiding the Gray Wolves through COVID, which, my goodness, I don't know how anybody got through it. Also, under her leadership, the Gray Wolves have been named an NAIA Gold 5-star institution each of her first 5 years. And I really want to know about that. And she just recently was named 2023 NAIA Executive of the Year, sponsored by Nike. Please welcome Ms. Janet Eaton Smith to the show. Thank you so much for giving us some time. One, how are you this taping the evening?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm truly appreciative of the opportunity just to share my knowledge, share my background, but I am doing okay. I have to be honest with you. This is in my world, Northwest Ohio, beautiful weather. We were out Saturday. I want to say high was 75 degrees. So really beautiful, beautiful weather, low 52 degrees. So this is the time of the year that I love the most, where it's not too hot, it's not too cold. So it makes it interesting. And then for us, I'm in academia. Today was our first day of classes. So to have the students back on campus, to have the rambunctious and all the exciting, vigorous, new energy out of the way, it is just a good feeling to say fall is getting ready to start. We don't have football, but fall season is definitely in the air. So excited about that. Mm-hmm.
And it is something about having them physically back on campus that
Yes.
just is a little, if you're not in education, you don't know the buzz we're feeling. So I feel that
Yes.
energy. So Ms. Eaton Smith, can you talk a little bit about your career? Give our audience a little background of how you became the athletic director at Lord's.
Okay. So pretty much hard work, so to speak, the hard work. I'm a Mississippi native. I am from Mississippi, a small town called Easter, Mississippi. I played basketball and participated in sports as a young person, and just love the what it brings and what it's about. In my journey as a professional, passionate about education. I'm in the classroom, taught many years, but I knew that I wanted to stay in the athletic arena. I knew I wanted to stay in the athletic world because of the camaraderie, the excitement, and just it gives you an opportunity to, if you're stressed out, this is your opportunity to relax. And if you are not stressed out, this is your opportunity to get some exercise in, right? And kind of grow from there. So my journey was just continuing to make sure that I made room and I made space for people that look like me. I'm an advocate for women of color. I'm an advocate for women, period, to make sure that their voices are heard and we're treated equally, not just in the financial side, but in opportunities, making sure we get the correct opportunity. And it just feels great. I call myself a trailblazer. I wear it proudly and boldly, in understanding that I don't take this job and what I do lightly. It has been a blessing for me to be able to navigate and to move. And so throughout my career, I've had many, many opportunities. This is my 5th driver's license in Ohio, my 5th driver's license. So being in the Midwest right now has just been a blessing from God, and I'm very thankful for that. And so how actually did you get here is from basketball coach to understanding, hey, I don't want to do the basketball thing anymore. I want to make some other changes. I want to be able to open some doors, to break down some barriers. So how do you do that? Having a seat at the table and having discussions about how we can make a difference for women in sports, for women in color, and making sure that we're all treated equally. And just coming from the background of being an athlete to currently coaching, not currently coaching, to coaching, to now being an administrator, and just very fortunate that the supervisor that I had was a female. I'm very grateful to work for a female. She saw my knowledge and my skill set in the world of sports, and being able to see the bigger picture when it comes to higher education and how to move the needle forward with thinking outside the box. You said it yourself, COVID was challenging. It was very, very challenging for all of us, not just financially, but socially, being closed off and being able to adjust and being able to manage. And we were thinking on our feet. We were driving the plane while the plane was in the air during COVID. And very fortunate for someone to acknowledge what I brought to the table. And I got the promotion of a title of a VP of athletics. And so at that point, you're thinking outside of my world of athletics. You're thinking for the betterment of the institution. What are you doing? So I'm an extension of student affairs, so to speak. And in my world at Lourdes, we're the second largest unit on campus. We are over than 50% of the population on our campus. So I manage and oversee the larger body, and working closely with our provost and our president, making sure that we are trying our best to get it right and make sure the new generation have a wonderful collegiate experience. So it's been a great journey. It really has been a great journey.
Well, this is also a tremendous opportunity for our listeners to learn a little bit more about Lourdes. Can you give us the elevator speech on what's it like in Ohio, and
Yes.
just give our audience just a little bit about it before we close out segment one?
Yeah, I can. Lourdes University is in Northwest Ohio. We are literally 6 miles from the Michigan border, but we are right at the heart of Toledo. It's a great Catholic institution, but we are a liberal arts institution, but we have Catholic and Franciscan values. We are sponsored by the Sisters of St. Francis. They're one of our big sponsors, and understanding their belief in reverence, understanding their belief in creation, and understanding, making sure we honor second opportunities, giving back to the community. We're good stewards of giving back, making sure that we honor what God has given us and acknowledge what He has given us, and not abusing it and not taking it for granted. Very, very big on recycling, very big on preserving the earth and what God has stowed for us and all of those good things. But when you talk about an opportunity to flourish and an opportunity to grow, Lourdes is the place where you want to be. Lourdes is a place where we welcome differences. However, we embrace our heritage and our history, but we do welcome the differences and allow people to think outside the box. Even though we are a Catholic institution, we pride ourselves in diversity and understanding that just because you may not look like me or you didn't come from where I've been, we have an opportunity to respect one another and move the needle forward in understanding that you belong, understanding that you are enough, and to make a difference in the world. So after your 4 or 5 years on our campus and you become this model citizen in our world, as all institutions, we pray that you give back, but we truly believe once a gray wolf, you're always a gray wolf.
I love it. And I'm so grateful that you were able to tell just a little bit about your story so our audience can hear that. So fans, when we get back in segment 2, Ms. Eaton Smith gave us the privilege and the pleasure of reviewing our book, and can't wait to hear her thoughts about it. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fallon Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes. The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, special Find the Balance Friday interview with Ms. Janet Eaton Smith. And in segment 2, you gave us the pleasure and the privilege of reviewing our book and our passion project, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. Please go in any direction you want. Share your thoughts on our Find the Balance book project.
I thought it was a phenomenal book, and thank you so much for sharing the book with me. It was definitely an easy read, so I'm thankful for that. I can relate to your story of being from a small town and deciding to where you're going and how you want to move in life academically and understanding athletics. Now, what I picked up most of all, you were gung-ho for Division I. You wanted to do the Division I. I'm an NAIA girl. I've always been an NAIA. I played in the NAIA, but your book highlighted there are other opportunities other than Division I. And I appreciate you for that. And I applaud you for that. And so definitely, I thought that was amazing how you laid out your book. You talked about some statistics that we know and people talk about it, but when you read it, it's glaring. And I just want to share with you, you have, as in 2020, in NCAA Division I colleges and universities, 83% of head coaches, 80% of the university's president and or chancellors, 83% of athletic directors, 82% of faculty athletic representatives, and over 80% of the conference commissioners are white. And you're talking to a Black female. That is so true. And you can take this onion and unpeel it so many different ways of how you want to look at it. For me, it is still, we have made strides when you talk about women of color, when you talk about people of color, but we still have a long ways to go. As you and I both know, as everybody knows, depending on the sport you're talking about, the majority of the student athletes are student athletes of color. I think you were a basketball player. You stated it in your book. Basketball was your thing. I have a little basketball knowledge in my background too. So the majority of those athletes are people of color. And to have someone look like them, to talk about and deal with their challenges is very interesting. You stated in your book how you felt like you were not ready for college. And so many people are not ready for college. You really put your energy and you focused on athletics, but you didn't put that same energy and you focused on the academic side. That's a Sunday day conversation. And if you could sit at everybody's table and talk about the emphasis of academics, if you could see them mamas and them daddies cheering and screaming about math, science, English, history, like we scream about football or finishing the finish line or basketball, it would be a different discussion to have. I can remember my heyday. I am a junior college person. I think you talked about a little bit of being in junior college. I can remember when it was time to graduate. For me, junior college we were state champs in high school. When I graduated from high school in 1988, we were state champs. I graduated from South Jones High School in women's basketball, and we were 37-0. The record still holds today. I'm so excited. Now, for me, the group that wanted to go to junior college, we wanted to stay together and accomplish the same things athletically, because we were like, oh, we were so good. We wanted to stay together. So that starting five stayed together and transitioned to the local community college. And probably after our first year, the light bulb went off and we grew up of like really thinking, identifying what is it I want to be in life. It's like that first year you get, the freshman year in college, it wasn't in the book, but I was with you. You think it's your 13th grade. And I've read somebody else who said it's your 13th grade. But after you pass the 13th grade, it's like, I got to grow up. What is it that I want to do? And I know you shared that you had a love of basketball, but you didn't pursue it, or you couldn't go farther because your GPA.
Yes.
And you had to stop and kind of get your feet together. And I'm an HBCU graduate. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I see you at HBCU graduate. I'm an HBCU graduate, and I'm very thankful for the experience that I had, because after my 13th grade, I'm like, I gotta grow up. I can't play basketball forever. What is it that I'm going to do? And those were hard conversations with my peers, my mother and father, and myself. You can't bounce this ball. And so after our freshman year, it was like, this is great. I love you guys, but we got to grow up eventually and continue to take care of ourselves. And one or two went off to Mississippi College. I went to Dillard University in New Orleans. I'm a proud HBCU graduate. And that's where I fell in love with education, going into my sophomore year, understanding that it was life after basketball. And so many of us forget that. It's often people want to go pro, and understanding they want to go pro. And again, this is the onion. We peel it back. Is it a difference between male athletes and female athletes? We don't. Back in the day, my goal was an NBA, a WNBA. You guys have always had the professional scene. So now this new generation, a new mantra, you have more professional sports for the women. And that is an opportunity for them to step into and flourish. But during my time, it wasn't. After you got your college experience, you had to continue to go on and so forth. So we have more commonalities, Keith, in this book than you'll actually think about and compare. But we do have a lot in common. So I am thankful for the book. I am thankful for the opportunity to connect the dots. And I'm going to turn it back over to you just to continue how we flow with your book.
Oh, well, one, thank you so much. Dr. Lisa Rubin, who's a very good friend of the show, had mentioned it to be a part of incoming freshmen coming in and using it in different manners, and to have someone with your credentials, say such kind things. We do appreciate it. I do want to mention that it's so needed to have you at the table, to have somebody like myself at the table, because we often do not see in athletics people who look like us. So there's like a cap in terms of what we can aspire to. So I love the work that a lot of the organizations are doing, like Tides with Dr. Richard Lapchick, and the report card every year for the different sports. And I'm just excited for all of the success you have and continue to have, and the fact that you do reach back and that you're being recognized as an executive of the year. That's just great. And when we get back, fans, in segment 3, we're going to have these conversations about the current state of athletics, talk a little bit about NAIA and the benefits, folks. It is not D1 or bust. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes, as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of attaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we're going to talk to Miss Eaton Smith about college athletics. So talk to me. What are your current thoughts on college athletics? A lot of news, conferences, this, that, and the other. What are you thinking in your lens? Because you work with everyone.
Well, so for me on the NAIA, I'm glad I'm not Power Five and dealing with all the drama they got with the conference no longer existing and all that other stuff. So for me, you kind of sit back and watch what's happening on the NCAA level. It's going to trickle down to the NAIA level. But by the time it trickled down to my world, we figured some things out and can navigate. So it's a little different. But college athletics still is, man, it's a lot. It's a lot going on when you talk about diversity, equity, inclusion with the policies that some of the politicians are making in particular states. Those are challenging avenues that administrators have got to consider and to think about, because that's real talk. That is real talk of how you understand your legislation in the state that you're in, but trying to make a difference and move the needle. I'm going to tell you one thing about the NAI. The president and Jim Carr, he embraces diversity. He embraces making sure that women have a platform and an opportunity to speak. And I love that. That's what I love about the NAIA. And for us, we stand on, we don't have rules like NCAA, but we have rules, but it's not the same type of governing body. We're definitely on a smaller scale, but we navigate and we stick together, but we definitely pay attention to what is going on in the bigger umbrella in the world of athletics. When it comes to student athletes and parents, that's another day, that's another conversation, but we have really good students. We have really good parents that support their students and they want their kids to succeed, and they want their kids to be successful on and off the field. And yeah, I you think about the Scottie Pippens, yeah, people from NAIA go pro. Yeah, but that's not the average and it's not the norm. It's the rare opportunities, but the opportunity to be in postseason play and in championships and having that collegiate experience is it is something that you will always remember. It's something that you will always embrace. And I talk to parents and I talk to young people all the time. Here is the question for me when you talk about the difference between NCAA and NAIA. Do you want to go somewhere and play and have an opportunity to win a championship, or you just want to go somewhere because of the name? I can't answer that for you. It all depends on what you want. So if you want to go to the big Power Five schools, and I'm not mad at you because I love Saturday turning on and watching football, and that's exciting, but it's not for everybody. I'm an NAIA brat. I graduated from an NAIA institution. I work at an NAIA institution. So I understand the uniqueness, the intimacy of NAIA and getting to know your players, getting to know your colleagues in the conference, getting to know people, and just watch yourself grow. I love athletics. I'm serious. It's an outlet for me. And if I could take a moment to share, I was having I want to say it was 2 years ago, a really, really rough time in my profession. Like, God, education is changing. Education is expensive. We're getting ready for this generational cliff in education where people are not going to go to school anymore. Everything is instant. And I was just having a moment like, do I really want to be in education? I had the opportunity to go to Vegas for a workshop. And I took time to went to the Las Vegas Aces women's basketball game. I had the best time. I was by myself, but that environment, it was women empowerment. The media done an outstanding job of promoting the event. The marketing team, it was packed. The positive energy, the love of the game, and it was a real professional event. And it was women playing. That recharged my battery so much. I'm like, I'm in the right profession. Hang in there, Janet. You're in the right profession. You're doing the right thing. Don't get discouraged. Just find a way. And that 90 minutes of basketball, 2 hours of basketball, being in that atmosphere. And it wasn't so much about the game. It was the things that made the game happen. So as an administrator, my mind is thinking, looking at security, looking at fan base, looking at all that. And I'm like, this was really nice. This was really nice. And if anybody has ever had the opportunity to go to a professional game from a smaller scale, and I'm not saying the WNBA is smaller, but it is smaller compared to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You got the same bells and whistles. You got the same hoopla. You got the same thrive, the same adrenaline rush at a professional sport. And I had the best time. And honestly, I'm just being so transparent. It helped me recharge my battery as a female, as a Black female, as a woman who loves education, a woman who loves basketball, and just being able to say, I'm in the right field. I'm in the right profession. So with that being said, I'm still a cheerleader for education. I'm still a cheerleader for small schools. I'm still a cheerleader for finding your niche in the world. And I think that don't get caught up in all the extra stuff. Just find out where you belong and where you're happy. And that's the most important thing.
And I think you summed up NAIA to me. It's the love of the game. If you love the game, you're going to have unique opportunities available if you look for them. And one of the things I've always advised my own student athletes is spend time looking at all types of schools, all types of majors, and then make an educated decision. While we got you here, any advice would you give to student athletes and families? I work often with student athletes and families and would love someone with your expertise to just give some nuggets of wisdom.
Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to leave that comfort zone and explore new things. I shared with you earlier, this is my 5th driver's license. And every step of the journey, I've learned something new. And it has made you a better person and broader when you look at things. The world is vastly changing in so many different areas and many different ways. But if you have that welcoming personality, you welcome differences, just don't be afraid of change. And nuggets to mom and dad, let them go. They're going to bump their heads. They're going to be okay, but they're going to make it because we bumped our heads and we were okay. Let them go. And just don't try to live vicariously through your kids. Let them have their own journey and let them have their own path. The young people, respect the people that went before you, your mom and dad, but don't be afraid to try something new. Get away from a fork, try chopsticks. Don't act like it's so horrible. Try something new.
Love it. Love it. And our super producer, Kelly, is going to beam all of your social media and your athletic websites. Please share all of that for our fans who are watching us on YouTube. Okay. How can we find out and follow you guys?
You can follow us at lordsathletics.com. And so we're home of the Grey Wolves here in Sylvania, Ohio. So the university's at Discover Lords and the athletic department is at lordsathletics.com. I'm on Twitter. I don't even know if it's called Twitter anymore.
X,
I think it's
Twitter.
X. I don't know what it is.
You.
But definitely hit me up at Coach Janet Eaton, just that simple. What I used to do, my first and last name, Coach Janet Eaton. You can definitely find me on Twitter. But we are out there interacting with each other on social media. Lords Athletics is up and booming. We have our first game starting on Sunday, women's soccer kickoff at 4:00 on Sunday. So here we go to our soccer team. So I would love for you guys to hit me up and follow me, and I will follow back.
All right. Well, on behalf of our cavalcade of stars and our special guest, Ms. Janet Eaton Smith, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
That's it.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.